Hey, all right. Wednesday, the week is going by fast, man. Um, hopefully it's a good one for you guys. Hopefully things are going well for y'all. Uh, getting after it, making stuff happen. I can tell you I am. It's been a really good week for me. Uh, Hectic week, really good week last week in Vegas, but this week has been awesome. Still on a roll. Finally got some edits back from a couple different things. We were on, I talked about this Monday. We were on FinTech TV, so that should be coming out probably tomorrow. That'll drop, and we got a couple other things that are shaking and moving that'll come out in the near future too. So super excited about all that stuff. I posted on Twitter just a little bit ago. It's something that just, I don't know. You ever feel like sometimes I get this and I post it like immediately, and sometimes I let stuff slip, comes to my mind, and I let it pass. But this one I went ahead and posted. So, if you knew you were going to be a millionaire next Monday, how would you act today? I think I know a lot of people would spend it. Let's say you knew you were going to get $1 million next Monday. You probably already got it allocated, right? Like all right, I'm gonna buy this, I'm gonna buy this, I'm gonna buy this, and then the money's gone. Do you think that way, or do you think, okay, that's $1 million, it's not enough to retire on? I don't care what anybody says, $1 million is not enough to retire on. Even if you put it to work, it's $50,000 a year at a conservative rate. It's 5% a year on the interest. Even with interest rates where they're at right now, maybe you could take moderate risk and earn 8% on it. You're making, $80,000 a year passive. And if you're living in, Fort Smith, Arkansas, or somewhere there where the cost of living is super low, or maybe in Oklahoma, you'd probably be okay. But the majority of the places in the U.S. now, with inflation and everything else, $1 million isn't really, unfortunately, not going to make a big dent. Most people are going to need somewhere between $4 to $10 million saved in order to be able to retire comfortably for the lifestyle that they intend to have, if they're going to be conservative with their investments. And yeah, this person says California life is expensive. Yeah, I bet it is. Gas there alone is crazy. So if you knew you were going to come into $1 million Monday, Jim Rohn says if you get $1 million, it's best you become a millionaire. And it really is about mindset. And we'll go into this on the webinar on Friday. We went into it on Monday on the webinar. So hopefully you guys attended that. If you got over 50,000 XRP, please sign up. We would love to have you. I think it's at like 4 p.m. Or maybe it's Monday next week. I have to look. No, it's Friday. I think it's Friday. And we have the webinar. There was we put it out for people that missed it. If you missed the registration, there was a wait list too. So anyway, talking about mindset, right? Mindset shift. If you had $1 million, how would you put that to work? What would you do with it in order to continue to grow it, preserve it, make sure that you had enough income to actually retire? What would you invest it in? A lot of people here probably thinking, I'm going to buy a bunch of XRP, or I'm buying a bunch of XLM or HBAR or some of these other digital assets. And that's great. You're thinking about investing that capital into something that's going to have a return for you. But as things progress here and we do see price appreciation, I kind of correlate the ROI to, like, and I've said this lots of times, but kind of a dog chasing a car, right? The dog knows they want to catch the car, but what's the dog going to do with it when it catches it? Does it know how to drive it? Is it going to get hurt by the car? You want to start thinking about cash flow. The lifeblood of your business, the lifeblood of your life requires currency. I prefer money. I think we all do. We would like it if, everything was backed by gold again. We wouldn't have the inflation that we have. And I think we're probably, bite the bumper. It's pretty good. I think we're going to get a reset of the monetary system where things are backed by gold and oil or commodities, and potentially XRP in some capacity. I think there's going to be a big shift in the way that they back the currencies themselves, and the stable coins will be backed by the treasuries issued by each country, each sovereign currency. You'll have stable coins that are issued by, other intermediaries that are backed by treasury bonds, that are backed by currencies, that are, and hopefully Judy Sheldon gets her way and we have a gold-backed treasury bond here in 2026 on, the U.S.'s 250th birthday. That'll, pay out on the 300th birthday of the U.S. So anyway, I digress. So anyway, thinking through that, how are you going to put that money to work? What are you going to buy that's going to cash flow? Well, let's think about this. You have some leverage now, right? Like $1 million isn't nothing. The first 100,000 is hell to make, I'll tell you. But once you make the first 100 grand, you figure out real quickly how to get to $1 million and beyond. And once you have some leverage, now you could go finance a business and you have the money to put down. So what type of business might cost you? You normally have to put down about 20% on an SBA loan, and maybe you don't want to put all of it down. So let's think about that. Maybe you want $500,000 worth of runway for your life expenses. Maybe you got some credit card debt that you want to pay off that's high interest. Maybe there's some things that you want to take care of with that money. Most of the time we don't pay off our home. I know that's a big deal for a lot of people. They want, bank can't take my home. But if you financed it at less than 5%, man, like you got free money. There's a lot of places you can put that money to work and earn a lot more than 5% on it. So I would encourage you to look at M&A, purchasing a business that cash flows. Most businesses that are just boring cash flowing businesses, car washes, eye clinics, like there's a lot of people that I know that have run a boring business that cash flow millions of dollars every year. So let's just say you took $500,000, set it to the side. Maybe you're going to invest it. You're going to live off of it. You're going to be okay with that $500,000. Maybe it's $100,000 you're going to pay yourself for the first 5 years while you're running the business. So just to cover extra expenses or whatever else. The other $500,000 you're going to put down on a business and finance it with an SBA loan. So most businesses that are smaller are somewhere between 1 to 3 on the multiple for EBITDA, which is earnings before tax, depreciation, amortization, and interest. It's not in that order, but they use the term EBITDA. So let's say it's cash flowing $1 million a year, and it's at a 2x on the EBITDA. Okay, that's profit, earnings before all those things. So you're gonna have to pay taxes and the other stuff, but it's $1 million in cash flow, net profits per year. And you could finance that business with that $500,000. You put that down, finance the rest with an SBA loan at a pretty low interest rate. Maybe you owner finance a piece of it back to the person that wants to sell it. There's lots of older people that are looking to retire and their children don't want to run whatever business it is. This person said they're a plumber. That's great. That's another great business. There's lots of things that are boring businesses that are not going to go anywhere, right? So I'm just challenging you to think a little bit differently about, how you're going to allocate that money instead of win Lambo, win business acquisition, win laundromat acquisition, win car wash acquisition. And then after you've financed that and you've got the structured financing at a low interest rate and you've got the cash flow off of it, you'll probably get payback in a year and a half on your investment, maybe less, right? And now you have an asset that's going to continue to print money and appreciate in value over the long term. Probably a VC is going to come along eventually and want to buy you out of it because they do roll-ups of a lot of these businesses. This person says investment properties. It's another great example, right? You might look at multifamily properties. You might look at commercial properties. And all of this stuff, I would encourage you to partner with a professional on that's acquired that type of business before or done an M&A transaction or invested in a certain type of property, because you don't know what you don't know getting into this stuff, and you can get burned. You could lose that $500,000 or $1 million or whatever it is. So hopefully it's a domain or area of expertise that maybe you already have. Maybe it's a type of business that you already work in. Maybe you work for a business that you want to buy out ownership in. I've seen that done too. There's lots of ESOPs and other things that get done. But that's how you're going to maintain your wealth over the long term. You're going to take a portion of that capital and you're going to put it into something that's going to continue to appreciate in value and cash flow for you. And potentially you're able to borrow against those. Those are my 3 things that I require for investments that I look at. XRP has been an exception, but now we've created the other 2 pieces of this. ROI, real ROI. So this is doing better than inflation. Most people think, I invest in the S&P 500. The S&P 500 and the real estate market just keep up with inflation. Now, there's periods of time where they outperform, but there's also periods of time where they don't. They're actually less than a real return. Over a decade or multiple decades, they tend to just keep up with inflation. So you want to invest in things that have a real ROI, that do better inflation on a consistent basis. This person says construction company, also a fantastic opportunity. Starting a company, here's an interesting metric for you guys. Startups, 96% of businesses that you start fail within the first 5 years. Only 2% of businesses that have lasted longer than 10 years that get acquired fail. So if you can acquire a business with an SBA loan and a little bit of capital down, that's been around longer than 10 years, there's a 2% chance that it's going to go out of business. And likely there's already management in place. If there's not management in place and you're buying it from the person that's running it, you're buying a job, you want to make sure that you're moving somebody else in to be able to manage that for you. You want to be an owner, not a manager. Okay. That's where the real money is, in owning assets that cash flow. And again, you may have some strategic expertise in that niche, whatever business it operates or whatever area is in, that allows you to, gain an edge over your competitors, but maybe not. Maybe you're just buying a laundromat in your local town, right? There's a lot of things that you'll be able to do with that $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $20 million that you end up with if you're invested in these digital assets. That's going to be outside of the scope of what you've done to acquire that. And debt is a tool. It's not something to be scared of. If you're able to finance future cash flows of a business with an SBA loan, again, the banks are willing to do that because only 2% of those types of businesses fail. Like they're happy to loan you the money because it's a very secure investment for them. It allows the owner to make their way out of the business. It provides them with liquidity. And you most of the time do want to do some type of structured earnout where you pay them a portion up front and then, work with them over time to work their way out of the business and make sure that there's a transition in running the business to the right parties. But again, kind of back to the point of this, and again, we'll go over it on the webinar on Friday for anybody that has more than 50,000 XRP. Just changing your mindset about buying the liabilities or the fun stuff with that $1 million next Monday versus thinking through, okay, how am I going to leverage this capital to support me for the rest of my life and turn it into that $4, $10, $20 million that it's going to, need to be for me to actually retire over the long term. So that's how I want to start off tonight. Just a different mental exercise, something that I hadn't started with on here before. When I was on Twitter, I would usually start the lives with things like this. If you guys like this, happy to, incorporate things here. We kind of jump into them based on some of the questions, but most of the questions here are really geared toward digital assets, mitigating taxes, estate planning, how to protect your assets, what cold wallets to hold them on, XRP price, where the market's going, macroeconomics, all that stuff. And I'm happy to run that stuff down too. But I think shifting mindset as prices appreciate here and we move to utility on a lot of these blockchains and people come into a lot of money is really going to be key in your ability to keep it over the long term. So with that, we'll go ahead and hop it into the questions tonight. I appreciate you guys taking the time out on your Wednesday night to run it down with me here on YouTube, X, and on TikTok. And we'll go ahead and hop into it. We've got Crypto Sponge. What's up, man? He says, legend. No question, just praises. Thank you, man. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for all that you do and your team has done for homeless, to RN, to DWP, Income Fund, to Vegas. Thank you. Dude, that's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that with people. And that's the other thing here I want to mention. I'm sure there are people watching this that are in places that they aren't necessarily happy with. Wherever you are in your life is a reflection of the choices you've made up to this point. But the beautiful thing about your life is you can change it with one decision. And that can be for the positive or for the negative, right? If you're invested in these assets, if you're here watching this, if you are on a journey of personal development, you're making the right decisions, and likely, it might take time, and it does take time, but you are manifesting a new reality. So just like this gentleman here, thank you for sharing, brother. Super excited to have you working with us, and appreciate the kind words. We got JJ Mendoza. What's up, man? Mr. Legend. You guys with the legend deal, man. I tell the story one time and you guys get me with it. If there is lost wallets, people not selling, how can Ripple XRP determine the total amount of available XRP that can be used? Why total circulation being used for today's price? Thanks. So this is a misconception that a lot of people have. And this is the other reason that a lot of people don't think XRP can go to really high prices, is they look at the total circulating supply and they think that all of that is available for trade. And to your point here, there's a lot of reasons why the total circulating supply is not available for trade. We know that there's at least 1 billion that was in a certain wallet that's no longer available. One of the Rothschilds or Rockefellers, I think it was a Rothschild, died in like a plane accident or something, and his family wasn't able to recover the 1 billion XRP. Maybe they have or something at this point. There was a story. I don't know about that. Don't quote me on it. But to that point, like, people lost access to wallets for whatever reason. You also have, half of the supply escrowed there with Ripple that's not being used and can't be used. It's locked up on the network. You also have large institutions, banks, enterprises, governments, sovereign wealth funds. Now we have treasuries for companies acquiring XRP. You got people stockpiling XRP for the ETFs, for the spot ETFs. That has driven price up to where it is today, and with consistent volume to purchase those. You got exchanges holding certain bags for themselves that they don't trade. And that's how I get down to maybe a couple billion that's available for trade on the exchanges and on the market. I think retail themselves might hold 1.2, 2.2 billion total XRP, maybe 2% of the supply in retail's hands. And the rest of it is between the exchanges and all the other parties I just mentioned before. So what's actually available to be able to settle a lot of these markets that a lot of people speculate that XRP will be settling? Not a whole lot. And that's where things kind of get nutty, right? If you really only had 1 billion XRP, 5 billion XRP, 10 billion XRP available to settle SWIFT or the back end of the stock market or commodities or FX or derivatives, that's why I think prices are going to go much, much higher than people can comprehend on this. And the market cap is going to look silly because the market cap is a multiplier of the total supply against the trading price for XRP. And the trading price is predicated on circulating supply versus demand. So the analogy I give for this is, let's say I minted 1 million Jake token or 1 billion Jake token. Okay. And I get it listed on an exchange, and my mom buys a Jake token for $1. What's the market cap of Jake token? You got it. It's $1 billion because that's the last price that it traded at. And that's the total supply. And so that's why market cap really isn't a good metric for digital assets in particular. You can look at stocks, and there's a cash flow component, or the EBITDA of the business, and there's financials. And you can look at the health of a business and see how many times EBITDA or how many multiples the stock is trading for over EBITDA. I think Amazon's at the lowest amount that it's ever traded for versus earnings right now. So there's a metric there that you can look at the market cap versus earnings and kind of discern where it is in value in comparison to where it's been in the past. There's other metrics here, but people solely focus on market cap for digital assets, and XRP in particular, and have a really hard time comprehending that you could see $1,000 XRP, a $5,000 XRP, a $10,000 XRP. Just not, they don't get it, because again, it's the circulating supply that actually matters for the price appreciation. We got the Nugget Hunter Dash Book. Interesting. Appreciate you for the super chat. They say, I just wanted to say congrats. I'm proud of you and for you. Thank you, man. It's really fun to be a part of all this and watch a young man like you chase his dreams with integrity. Oh, man. Really glad to be a part of the DWP family, Kevin. Thank you, man. None of this would be possible without you guys. Like, I have gone out on a limb and hustled hard and curated partnerships and worked my ass off for 3 years straight to make sure that you guys have what you need on the other side of price appreciation, because it's what I wanted. Like, I want the ability to create cash flow with my XRP. I wanted the ability to be able to borrow against it. I wanted to be able to hold it in institutional custody and know that it was safe and I didn't have counterparty risk. I wanted advisors around me that could help me and make sure that I didn't mess this up. Again, I didn't come from money. I grew up in a nice house, right? Like, definitely not a bad childhood at all. My parents were well-to-do. You could definitely call it white privilege. Not going to deny that at all. But at the same time, it's not like I lived in Highland Park and I got a Corvette for my first car. I got hand-me-down. I drove until just recently. I bought a new vehicle 2 years ago. It's the first new vehicle I've ever had in my life. I'm 33 years old. Everything else I've ever driven has just been like a cash clunker. And like, that's okay. Everybody starts somewhere, right? But anyway, just really appreciate the kind words here. And I'm going to run. I'm going to keep running as hard as I can for you guys. And we're going to keep developing products and services that are in alignment with our goals and visions and what we can do to best help the community. And now it's really cool to see people take notice. Big people take notice. Once you get some traction, isn't it weird how that works? Like, when you're first starting out and you have these grand ideas and like these, you want the help, you need the help, you need the partnerships, you need help, and people don't necessarily want to lend a hand. Then you're kind of the underdog, and then once you've got some traction and things are rolling and everything's good, that's when the big people show up and say, hey, yeah, we'd like to partner. And you're like, where were you a year ago? But I'm happy they're here now. And we got some really cool things working for you guys. And I'm really proud of my team. I couldn't do any of this without our team. We've been really blessed to hire really, really good people that work as hard or harder than I do. 12, 14, 16-hour days most of the time, 6-7 days a week, time away from their family, but they see the vision. And that's the cool part about everything that we're doing. I wake up every day jazzed, man. I can see it. I see that it's working. I see that it's growing. I see that we're able to actually execute on what we've made for promises for people. And we continue to do that. We continue to double down and make things happen that other people just, I don't know if they don't care or they don't see it, but either way, I'm swinging as hard as I can at this, man. You only get so many fat pitches in your life. And if you can see it and you're going to connect, I think you should swing as hard as you can. So anyway, thank you for the kind words. And yeah, we're going to keep pushing. Nicole, hey ma'am. She says, hey Jake, thank you for your service for us. Yes, ma'am. In a breakdown video of everything will be tokenized, you predicted a much higher return for XLM than HBAR. Lately, you say HBAR is your number 2. She's confused. That's fair. That's fair. There's also kind of some time frames. And there's some other contingencies there. So I think HBAR is likely going to be the base layer for Web3, and anything that's going to require secure data transfer probably ends up on that network. So even maybe the tokenization of the back end of the stock, well, not the back end of the stock market, but the stocks themselves could end up on Hedera. XLM is going to be a large part of our lives. Hyperledger is going to be a huge deal. Retail and merchant services are going to be radically changed by Hyperledger. Your ability to just swipe a card or your hand or your face to buy stuff in the next 3 to 5 years instantly with no cost or very little cost, tiny amounts of pennies to settle a transaction instantly between counterparties with stable coins over that network. It's going to be huge. I think there's going to be a lot of volume through that. But I do think it's going to stream micropayments. And same thing for HBAR. I think you need a certain amount of decimal places in order to be able to stream micropayments across those networks. Metaverses, I think you could see a lot of adoption of HBAR there. Because again, I think it's going to be the base layer for decentralized applications. I think we're probably and I was talking to, I'll mention this. So Cryptoland went and had a nice conversation with a gentleman today. I won't mention his name. He knows the architect of Cryptoland and the largest AMM on the XRPL. It's the largest game on the XRPL. Most of the marketplaces, for whatever reason, push them way down. The token that they have on their platform is called crypto. So it's crypto paired against XRP in their liquidity pool or their AMM. And what he showed me today is wild for the way that they've been able to balance out the AMM pool and liquidity pool that they have for the LP tokens that are in it. It's not financial advice. Take a look at it. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not advocating for anything. Just here for education, right? But if you want to go check out Cryptoland is the application in the game. It's interesting. It's they're building out some cool stuff. They have NFTs. It's a bunch of the stuff. But what he's been able to do with the liquidity pool in the AMM, I think is going to be very difficult to replicate for other people. And I think the sustainability of their liquidity pool is way better than even Ripple's liquidity pool that currently exists. So that may change as more liquidity moves in with RLUSD and some other stuff. But encourage you to go check that out. But anyway, back to the metaverse. His deal had to deal with the metaverse. That's why I squirreled and went that direction. Yeah, I think HBAR over the long term probably wins out, but in the short term, I think payments are going to be a bigger deal than dApps and Web3 in the next 2 years. So short term, I think XLM probably beats out HBAR. But the reason it's my number 2 is because I think it's going to be a bigger opportunity over the long term, similar to XRP, right? A lot of people have been in XRP 4, 5, 6, 7 years. It's a huge opportunity. It's an investment. You're looking at something over a longer time horizon. And so I think the opportunity for HBAR is going to be a larger upside over the long term versus XLM may be more in the short term, but kind of protracted in comparison to the long-term growth of HBAR. So that's why I say that's my number 2. It's a good question, though, because I did state that in the video that one would be higher than the other. But again, that's predicated on a certain time frame. Jay Blaze, what's up, man? He says, Jake, love the content so far for Beyond Broke. Awesome, man. Glad to have you in the mastermind. What are the chances if I hold 5 to 10K XRP, I'll be able to custody this year? 10K, I think, are pretty good. Maybe 5K. It all depends on what the price is at the end of the year, obviously, right? So if we're looking at, a $2,000 XRP at the end of the year, which is very reasonable based on certain conditions playing out. We need the reverse carry trade stablecoin regulation, which is very close. The Clarity Act, also right behind that. You got Tether, which is a ticking time bomb, literally. You got, the back end of the stock market used for settlement. There's a lot of things that are all lined up here, ready to go. JP Morgan talked about lending against your crypto ETF today. I don't know if you guys saw that or not. Interesting. If you're going to borrow against your Bitcoin ETF, hope you don't take high LTV. Maybe they're positioning themselves to be able to lend against the XRP ETFs once those are launched, because I think there's going to be a lot more liquidity there in the not too distant future. So anyway, I think there's a high probability, just based on circumstances that I'm seeing in the market and conditions, and the chance that all those things are actually going to play out in the short term here. I think by the end of the year, $2,000 XRP is probably reasonable. And if that's the case, then $5,000 or 5,000 XRP give you $1 million, and you would be able to work with Digital Wealth Partners. So absolutely, man. And again, appreciate you shouting out the Mastermind. If you guys are interested in that, you can go check it out. You get a whole free month there in the group at beyondbroke.com if you want to use the code BeyondBroke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO gets you a free month there in the Discord and on the website. Get you access to all the business resources and financial education that we provide, in addition to the private deals we run in the community for Carbon One, and we have the exclusive ability to partner with certain people to allow lending against your XRP there in the community. So if that sounds interesting to you, we would love to have those discussions with you, but you do need to be a member. So you just want to go to beyondbroke.com, and then you again use the code BeyondBroke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO gets you a free month there in the group. Sounds like Blaze has already done that. So great to have you in there, brother, and thank you for wanting to work with us. We've got a prod. They say, what happened to Stellar? Just faded away after the election. Are they irrelevant? Absolutely not. We just talked about that for Hyperledger. Circle has been issued on Hyperledger for a long time, and Ethereum and Solana and a bunch of other chains, USDC. Definitely not going anywhere. Definitely going to be used. Hyperledger Bosu is integrated with a ton of large banks and institutions for merchant services and peer-to-peer payments. Interledger protocol, they're integrated with that along with the Ripple, sorry, not Ripple, but the XRPL, and many other chains. We had Austin King on not too long ago. Got to see him again in Vegas, which was cool. He runs Omni. He was one of the architects of the Interledger protocol that Ripple ended up purchasing and then gifting to the World Wide Web Consortium to allow people to utilize that technology for free and be able to attach and work with it. So anyway, I know there hasn't been a whole lot of announcements from Stellar here in recent past, but they're very, very, very relevant. Kind of like R3. Like, you don't hear about R3, but doesn't mean they're not doing anything. This person over here on TikTok, I just always catch stuff out of the corner of my eye over here on TikTok, and he asked me about Pepe. I've never owned a meme coin. I don't plan on it. It's not my game. It's not my shtick. We have clients that have made a lot of money on meme coins, like a lot of money on meme coins. So it's there, but you can also lose a lot of money on meme coins. So I just, for being in this space that's so sketchy and risky and like new, I'm pretty risk adverse. I only own XRP with a little bit of hash, about $2,000 worth of hash. Not too long ago, told you guys that, but everything else is in XRP. And, I've missed out on a lot of opportunities because of that. I missed out on Doge. I missed out on Solana. I'll tell you, I was in Dubai in November 23 at Swell, and Mando. I don't know if you guys follow Mando or not, but if you don't, you should. Sharp guy. I think he's got a Twitter and maybe even a YouTube channel. I talked to him there, and he was like, I bought Solana at the bottom when FTX collapsed. I threw in 400 grand. Had like $7 or $9 on Solana. And he rode it back up to $35. He pulled out 30% of his position, bought 2 condos there in Dubai. And he told me when it gets to $100, I'm going to pull another 30% and buy 4 condos there in Dubai. And then I'm going to let the rest ride. So I don't know how much that dude made on that investment. But shout out to him, Mando. If you guys don't follow him, I haven't talked to him in a long time since that, actually. But I should have listened to him. Should have bought some Solana at $35 when he was talking to me about it there at Swell in 23. I was still all XRP and have been the whole time, just continuing to buy XRP. But I think it'll pan out. I'm extremely confident that I'm not going to be disappointed in, and I haven't been up to this point. You know, I've done really well, and I know a lot of other people have too. But I think you're going to do like exceptionally well, like the best anybody's ever done ever on anything, if you're holding a significant amount of XRP. Let's see here. I'm XRP. Thank you for the super chat, brother. He says, Jake, when I'm able to start earning a return on my XRP through the Wyoming LLC and Digital Wealth Partners, will I have to pay state tax here in California? Thanks for your leadership, knowledge, and innovation in the space. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. And the answer is, unfortunately, yes. California is going to get theirs. We have to file reciprocity for basically so that they recognize that you are a California citizen and you are the beneficial owner of that LLC. You can ask us not to, but it's not compliant. And if they find out about it, like, you've got to pay back taxes and penalties and fees. So we just do it for everybody that's there in Cali. There's a couple states where we have to do that, like New York, like they're sticklers about it. There's other states that have state tax that we're like, well, maybe they won't notice. And if you keep the money there in Wyoming, in your bank account associated with the LLC, you don't take it in your personal name. There's some stuff there that you can do with our tax attorneys. We can figure that out for you. And that's the other piece I'd mention is our tax, like, had a call with our tax attorney earlier today, our chief legal counsel. You guys may know him. You've seen videos with him, Rustin Deal. If you guys don't know who he is, go check him out. Written lots of papers for Bloomberg and many other large publications on tax, DAOs, and digital assets. He's done more digital asset protection trusts than any other attorney in the U.S. for our client base, which is pretty cool. All of those there in Wyoming also. But yeah, California's going to get theirs, man. I would move. I don't have a better answer for you. If you don't want to pay the state taxes there on the income, unfortunately. But I can tell you this, at least you're going to be earning some money on your LLC or on your XRP that you weren't before. So it's additional income that can help supplement your lifestyle there in California that was expensive before. So maybe you'll have more to be able to afford all of that if you are participating in the opportunities we have there at Digital Wealth Partners. This person's got a countdown here in the chat. Steve-O. We've got Crypto Sponge again. It always kicks me back up there in the chat. I guess he was counting down to the open there. Excuse me. Got to pay for the California dreaming. Yeah, exactly. We got Rob. What's up, Rob? How are you, sir? Good to see you. He says, hey, Jake, when do you think the second crypto bill will make it through the process, state, Senate, House, and actually pass and become law? It's interesting. They were talking about the Clarity Act today. I don't know. I'm confident the stablecoin bill will get through pretty quickly. I don't know that we're going to see that next one get through for a little while, and that may be orchestrated. And this is why I think they're going to position certain networks that transmit value in payments and settle transactions out in front for a significant amount of adoption and give them time to get integrated with stuff before they roll regulation on everything else. I could be wrong about that. I don't have a crystal ball, but if I were the powers that be and I wanted to select certain winners, which we know they do, then that's how I would play it out. I would make sure that certain things were passed and then other stuff got held back. And you've already seen that, right? Like with the Ripple case and them holding back this deal for as long as they want to. Whatever they need to do in what order they need to do it in order to accomplish the initiatives that they have and choose winners, they will do it. So I don't know. Maybe it's right after everything gets passed, but I have a sneaky suspicion that they're going to hold back on that next one. And I'll take a second to mention this here. We had a person ask about the 50,000, the webinar. So this is the last time that we're going to run this special for Digital Wealth Partners. My compliance officer has informed me that I can't run a special every other month for 50,000. Otherwise, we have to lower our limits to 50,000, and we can't really with the economics of the business. So, but I want to take care of people. Like, that's the whole point of this deal. I know there's a lot of people that have close to that amount or are at that amount that want institutional custody. You want an advisor, you want access to these products and things that we're rolling out. And so this is the last time I can do it. So if you have 50,000 XRP and you want to be able to hold it in institutional custody at Anchorage, you want to be able to borrow against it, you want to know that it's safe, you want to be able to add your spouse on the accounts, put beneficiaries on the accounts, have insurance on your assets, be able to do all the cool stuff that I've been talking about for a long time and we've actually built with Digital Family Office and Digital Wealth Partners, then this is your time. Okay. The next 2 weeks, by the 17th of June, which is the last day that they have for Franklin Templeton to get approved for their spot ETF, you need to get in because I can't do another $50,000 offer like ever, or not $50,000, 50,000 XRP. 50,000 XRP is the minimum if you want to work with Digital Wealth Partners for the next 2 weeks. So you do need to have a corporation or a trust or an IRA, and it can be the total across all three of those, just so you know. So if you had money in your IRA and you got some in your personal name that you need to move into a corporation, if you had 25 here and 25 here and it's total of 50, you're good. We can work with you. And we know that it's going to take a little while to get the IRA over, and we will honor it. So would love to work with you if that's something you're interested in. If you need to set up the LLC, it's the fastest, cheapest, easiest way to make sure that you're structured correctly. And there's a ton of other benefits to that outside of, partnering with Digital Wealth Partners. There's a lot of reasons that we require that our clients do it. It's not just because. One of those is Anchorage only works with businesses. So you are becoming an institution yourself. And a lot of you will be institutions. If you got a lot of XRP, you're going to be a large family office. Like, you're going to be a player, okay? And you want to incorporate and you want to structure this stuff the right way. And we're going to make sure we help you do that. So to start off, you can just go to digitalfamilyoffice.io. So that's digitalfamilyoffice.io. You go to the services page. There's a drop down, and you'll go to the LLC formation on there. And you can put in the code 50OFF, 50 OFF, like off, like turn the light switch off, 50 OFF DAG, like Digital Ascension Group, LLC, like limited liability company. So that's 50 off DAG LLC. So 50 OFF DAG LLC. That's the code. And we normally charge $4,000 to set everything up for the LLC. End-to-end EIN, articles of organization, certificate of good standing, virtual office, registered agent, the template for the operating agreement, step-by-step process on how to move your assets in there, the ability to set up a bank account. We don't do the bank account for you, but we will help you, talk to the bank, tell you what to say so that you can get it set up. And then we also do the back-end compliance to make sure that your corporate veil is good to go. And it almost acts like a trust the way that we set it up. So very fast, 3 to 5 business days to get it done, knock it out. And then you can partner with Digital Wealth Partners and hold your assets over there and be a billionaire like this guy with his XRP over here on TikTok. When it gets to 100,000, like 2030, 2033, there'll be a lot of people that if you've held on to a large amount of it, you'll be doing really, really good. So again, you want to be structured the right way. You want your assets in institutional custody. You want access to all the tools and resources and professionals to make sure that you get this right. And we have them. You can bring people with you. We work with other people. We are plug and play, right? We're not here to compete against anybody. We want to help everyone. So if any of those things sound great to you, we'd love to work with you. But again, this is only available through June 17th. You have to have paid the onboarding fee by then. They're Digital Wealth Partners. And you do have to have the LLC at least on its way to being set up. Doesn't have to be completely set up, but on the way to set up. And we do require that you fund the account within 30 days. And within the next 30 days, we should, I don't want to make any guarantees. I get my hand slapped anytime I do that. We should have some really cool risk-free ways to be able to generate returns on your XRP sat there in your account, not having to be an accredited investor, very no risk returns for the assets there in the accounts with Digital Wealth Partners at Anchorage, insured, segregated, all the stuff I've been dreaming of for years is finally culminating here in June of 2025. So super excited about that, and excited to be working with you guys. So people ask about fees, $1,000 to onboard with Digital Wealth Partners. So it ends up being like $3,000 if you want to get it all done. If you got 50,000 XRP, so you'd have, what would that end up being? It's 2.21 right now. So you got 110,000 bucks invested in digital assets. We're doing really good. We got Anderson Monat. What's up, man? He says, Jake, you're awesome. Thank you, man. Hey, everybody's so nice. You guys are awesome. Love the Q&As, always informative. I hope you have the pleasure of working. Hope to have the pleasure of working with you and your team in the near future. We do too, man. Like, that's the cool part about this community. So many people came up and took photos at XRP Vegas and shook my hand, looked me in the eye, and like, I love the human connection. I love talking to people. I love getting to know you. We love getting to know our clients and making sure that, you know, you're being taken care of. Whatever your long-term goals are met. We want to make sure that your family is taken care of, and this is done in the best way possible to protect you, your assets, and the legacy, whatever that is that you want to leave. Yeah, man. Like I said, this doesn't work for me. I enjoy doing it. I'm on here late Monday and Wednesday nights after I've worked the whole day before that most of the time. But I wouldn't have it any other way, because I love being here with you guys, and you guys always ask great questions. And we got Frank D. What's up, man? He says, thank you for all that you do. Melbourne, Australia. Very cool. Down under. How wealthy will Chris Larson be if Ripple goes to XRP goes to 1K? Bit hard to fathom that. Thoughts? Excuse me. Okay. So he would be the trillionaire. He'd be worth about $2.7 trillion. But let me put it to you this way. People might not think that's fair. People might be mad about that. The world is abundant, brother. If he can get his, you can get yours, right? And if we have trillionaires, being a trillionaire is possible. Right now, we don't have any trillionaires. But as soon as somebody else is a trillionaire, now it's possible, right? Like the first guy that ran a 4-minute mile, when he broke that record, now we've got over 20,000 high school kids that have run a 4-minute mile. So the first time somebody else does it, it gives permission for everybody else to do it. So I think it's really cool that he will be that rich. And for the impact that they are going to have on the world, like their goal was to put a dent in the universe. That was their like explained goal. And I think they've done it. And if you were able to completely change the monetary system for the next 1,000 years, and the value that you're able to create through that, I think you should be very well compensated for it. I am perfectly fine with him having that much money. And I think he'll do a lot of good stuff with it. I think Brad will do a lot of good stuff with it. Like, you can't spend that much money. You know what I mean? Like, you only need, like, we have a family office client. He's awesome, by the way. But his monthly spend for his fund budget is $250,000 a month. And he pops bottles and has a good time, travels. Love him. He's awesome. But I mean, that's $3 million a year for his fund budget. So that's outside of his additional bills and stuff on his house and properties and everything else that he's got that allows him to be able to do that. So, I mean, maybe his total spend per year on his businesses and everything else is $15 million, right? Between his fund budget and his other assets and everything else he's got to be able to service debts and whatever else he has. Even then, like, let's say you were printing that with XRP and that's 5%. It's a standard, like, low return for you. You need $300 million and you'd print $15 million a year in returns. When you got billions, when you got trillions, like you could literally put electricity like next to everyone's house globally. You could, there's so many things that you could do with that much value that you could create more value to help people with. And I think that's what Chris and all those guys are going to do. They don't strike me as people that are selfish or gluttonous or egotistical. They want to make an impact, and they've done that with XRP. And I think they'll continue to do that with other stuff in their life. So it is hard to comprehend, but I don't look at it as a negative. I look at it as cool. He did it. How can I do it? And then what does that give me the ability to do to help other people? So anyway, probably a different perspective than most people have on it. I can tell you, I won't say who. There's been people around me that have been like, billionaires shouldn't have that much money. And I'm like, I don't think you comprehend what they gave up for a decade or more in order to achieve that goal. Like, what was the sacrifice? What was the grind? How many marriages failed? How many torn relationships with their children do they have? Like, how many late nights, blood, sweat, tears, torn partnership? Like, there's so many things that happen in the quest for $1 billion or $1 trillion that most people wouldn't endure. They wouldn't give up. They're not going to sacrifice. Most people want balance. In order to achieve that, it is exceptionally unbalanced for an extended period of time. So I think it's fair. And if you're creating that much value for that many people, I think you're justifiably compensated for that. Like Facebook, like nobody's life is the same because of Facebook. Even people in third world countries that have a phone, like have Facebook. There's 3.2 billion people. Half the planet is on that platform. You know what I mean? Like, just boggles your mind that something could affect the whole planet like that. And that's what this is doing. It's changing the monetary system at scale. So anyway, I'm rambling on here, but I think it's completely fair, and I'm excited about it because then it gives permission for other people to try to become a trillionaire. And it's not like it happened overnight. Like it everybody at Ripple's been working on this a long time. Hey Jake, heard of Nick Tax on chain in Australia? I think we talked. I don't remember if it was them or somebody else. There was one group there that was super degen tax people that were more Bitcoin and ETH focused and more like DeFi protocol stuff, which we have another one of those here in the US is Count on Sheep. So there's nothing wrong with that. If you got a bunch of, liquidity pools and DeFi swaps and airdrop farming and like all the cool, crazy stuff that goes on in DeFi, you probably need somebody like that. But if you're just, occasionally trading crypto and continued dollar cost average and taking profit every once in a while, or maybe staking it, like, probably don't need somebody that's super degen. You probably want somebody that's a little more conservative and understands the tax code around crypto and like just helps you mitigate taxes. Not so much figuring out all the transactions for how much you owe, but more about like, how do I be proactive and not pay a whole bunch of taxes? So I'm not sure if it was them that I talked to. There was a group that sounds familiar like that in Australia that we had a conversation with that seemed a bit more on the degen side. And there's a place for that. You need the accounting for it, but you still want to work with the CPA that can help you mitigate the taxes, not necessarily just account for everything. Will XRP go back under $2 again? I'm not counting on it. I think there's too much volume from the ETFs and FOMO and the public. I mean, we're already back down on the low end of the RSI. I think we bottomed. I think we go up from here. But I'm not a TA guy. So I listen to Blockchain Backer for technical analysis. Got to see him in Vegas. Shout out to BCB. If you guys don't follow him, go check him out. He does a really good job on the After price appreciation, I will have 10 million worth of XRP. I want a large lump sum. Best way to get that. I know you can get a loan against my XRP, but how does a loan work? Explain like I'm 10 years old. It's a good question. So little Johnny has his dad's Ferrari. Okay. And his dad gives it to him. He uses section 709 of the tax code. He gives him the Ferrari. So he gets it. Got no basis. It's worth $500,000. If he sells that, gonna have some taxes. So little Johnny wants a loan. Let's say he's big Johnny. He's 18 years old. He can go get it. So he goes to the bank, and the bank's going to finance his Ferrari or house or whatever else Johnny has. But it's going to be interest-only payments on the Ferrari. So he's going to borrow. It's worth $500,000. They're going to give him 50% LTV, so he can take out $250,000 against it. Because they're worried about, the fluctuation in the valuation of the market. They're not going to give him the whole value of the car. They're willing to loan him 50%, so 50% LTV. And they're going to do it at a higher interest rate because his credit's bad. Okay. He doesn't have any credit history. So it's kind of more on like a personal loan, and they're just using the car as the collateral, and they're going to do it at like 13%. And they're going to do it for 12 months. And then he's got to pay a lump sum at the end to pay the note off. And it's interest only until that point. So every month he's able to take that $250,000 and he's able to go do something with it to generate more money. And hopefully he more than doubles that money by the end of the year. And if he's able to do that through whatever means, then he's going to be able to continue to service the debt, off of his job or other income or whatever it is. His loan payment every month, I don't have my phone in front of me, but let's call it 13% of $250,000. So 1% would be $2,500 times 12 is going to be 5 times 6 is $30,000 over the year that he'll owe. So 30,000 divided by 12. If it was 36, it would be $3,000 a month. So we'll call it, like 25 grand a month, less than that, 22 grand a month, something like that is his interest payments. And then he's going to owe the $250,000 at the end of the year. That's how we do it. Except the Ferrari's your XRP, and the interest rates are going to come down from where they're at right now, around 13%, because the collaterals, the underwriting is going to improve because Johnny's credit's going to get a lot better. And so he'll be able to refinance it at the end of the year and roll the same collateral. Let's say he uses that $250,000 to build his credit. Okay, he goes and puts it to work through a business or something else over the year. He's able to make payments on credit cards. He's able to get an Amex. He gets a couple credit lines from other people attached to his name, and he's able to get like a 750 credit score. And then he's able to pay off an Amex a couple times and build his credit by the end of the year. And so now at the end of the year, he's able to refinance the car again for the same $250,000 to repay the first note with the same collateral, and then interest only again. But now it's at 7% instead of 13%, which you can also do. You can just use the same collateral to refinance the note at the end. So anyway, hopefully that explains that for you. I tried to make it like a story and how I would explain it to my son, who's 8. So pretty close to 10 years old. But yeah, those are the terms. We do up to 12 months. It's interest only with a balloon at the end, 13% interest right now with Arch lending, 13.5. They do an origination fee of 1.5%. So it ends up effectively being 15%, but they take that out of the money that they loan you. So you don't really have to pay it. And then you owe the money back at the end of the year or whatever the end of the term is. And as long as you service the interest only payments in the meantime, you're good. Now let's talk about the value of the vehicle. Let's say we go into a recession and the value of that Ferrari gets dropped in half. Well, now it's a problem. It dropped 60% somehow. That model of Ferrari has some recalls, and it's not worth anywhere near as much, or they find a bunch of them, and the value drops a bunch. Now, you wouldn't have this at the bank. Like, they're not going to call your Ferrari loan, but they will call your loan on this stuff if there is a significant fluctuation in the price of the asset. So we always encourage people to do like 20 or 30% LTV loan to value. So you're not loaning 50%. Right now we can get 45% or 55% against your XRP. As it, again, appreciates and we get clarity around it and it's used, I think the underwriting process is going to be much better. Interest rates will be much lower, and you'll be able to borrow a lot more against it because it's going to be a high stable price. But those are the options that we currently have. And some of those are going to change in the near future because we have some partnerships on the way that are pretty cool. That'll be better. Can't talk about them because I'm under NDAs, but just know that it's good. So hopefully that explains that for you and everybody else is also. Let's see here. We have Silverado, man. Chevy, I like it. He says, how quickly do you think XRP hits 3 to 4 digits overnight, or will it gradually go up over weeks or months? Do you still think 3 to 4 digits is possible this year? I think it's going to move very quickly to like 50 to $100. It might pause there for a little bit, and then I think you see 4 digits in the not too distant future after that. Maybe go straight to 4 digits. Who knows? It depends on how quickly the catalysts play out. I do think this year, I think that there's too many things that are lined up that make sense in macro. Still waiting on oil to pop off here. We've seen oil stocks start to run up. And that tends to be an indicator of, potentially oil itself running up. If oil were to spike because of conflict in the Middle East, we could see some, reg hikes over there by the BOJ, and that'll kick everything off. You guys with the super chats are awesome. We got GI Kai. They say, what's up, big dog? What's up, man? He said, just signed. Does the 1,700 signed NDAs ever expire? Also, when is this XRP going to take off so I can buy my house in Breckenridge? We're still waiting on events to play out, but I don't think those are going to take very long. And again, on that note, if you join the mastermind, you're locked in, man. Lock it in now. Trying to tell people without telling people. On the other side of a $10 XRP, we're locking down the mastermind. It's going to be an exclusive community. It's going to be very curated. We're not going to allow just anybody and everybody in. People are going to be vetted on the other side of it, and all of the prices are going up 10x from what they are today for everybody that's going to come in after. Anybody that's already in, you lock in prices across all the tiers. You're in, and you're in for as long as you want to be. We're month to month, almost 3,000 people in there now, which is wild to me. But super exciting. It's a fantastic community to be a part of. And again, we're going to lock that down on the other side of price appreciation when these 1,700 NDAs expire. So that's the other piece. Like, I don't think people understand the supply shock that's going to take place when the Ripple case ends. And well, I think price will move before the Ripple case ends. Personally, I think it'll all happen at one time with the launch of the ETFs, the reverse carry trade unwinding, stablecoin regulation, which, just so you kind of have a timeline, stablecoin regulation is supposed to happen this week or next week. Just saying. I think all of it happens at the same time to cause a supply shock on XRP for it to go. And then you can buy your house in Breckenridge, and you'll be in our group, big dog, because I know you're already in there. So kudos to all the people that we have there in the group. Love you guys. And I think that's when the NDAs expire, is when they have a trigger. And they could be date, they can be events, they could be a price for XRP. There could be a lot of things that are the trigger for the NDAs to expire. I think some of them already have. Bank of America has been pretty open about their use of XRP and other stuff. Manuel says DWP threshold for the funds is temporarily 50K. So I'm going to make this designation here. Not for the funds, not for the returns, not for the investment opportunities. To become a client, 50,000 XRP. You still need to be accredited in order to participate in the funds. Now, we're working on some other opportunities to make sure that everybody's taken care of in the very near future. However, the funds that we have available currently are for accredited investors. But if you got more than 50,000 XRP, then we would love to work with you and hold it in institutional custody. And hopefully, again, working on things for the very near future to be able to generate returns in your account so you don't have to worry about that piece. He said, I'm in Carbon 1 and thinking of leveraging my existing bag at Arch and buying more XRP so I can get over the 50K threshold. Would that work to get me in? So, no. We've talked about this. We haven't really talked about this, so let me talk about it. I've talked about it internally. I haven't talked about it publicly. You need like 40,000 XRP to be able to do that. And you can go ahead and onboard, make sure the LLC is set up, pay the 1,000 to onboard. And then once you're in, leverage the XRP to buy the additional. Good to go. We can do it that way. And just let them know your intent on that. And they should be willing to work with you. And if they're not, I'll talk to them. Because I look, if you got like 40,000 XRP and you want to be able to get in there, like we want you in there. I want you to be able to have access to this stuff. And that's a way we can get it done. We're going to do that for some people on the 425,000 XRP to lock in the lifetime 20 basis points. So that's another thing. I didn't mention that tonight, but if you have over 425,000 XRP and you happen to be listening to this, we did a webinar for people with over 500,000 XRP. We had 250 people show up to that, which was wild. But if you onboard with DWP before June 15th with at least 425,000 XRP, we lock you in at 20 basis points for your lifetime. It's the lowest rate that I think we will ever offer publicly to anybody. So just wanted to mention that also. But yeah, this can work, man. Just reach out, go ahead and pay the onboarding fee, get your LLC set up, come on, and then we'll sort it out once you get into custody over there. We got Cole. They say tinfoil hat on shift tonight. Daddy needs some opium. I'll give it to you. Tinfoil hat. You guys love Bearable Guy, and I do too. Been around a long time, and he posted that picture of the owl cartoon with the Moona and the Juna and the Springer. I love to sing. So maybe that had something to do with June. I don't know that. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not Bearable Guy. And I don't base my investment thesis on the riddles at all. But interesting. I think it has something to do with Ripple employees. There's if you were a cryptographer and you wanted to get that out to the public, probably would do that. Oh, I love you. Thank you so much. My wonderful wife with the T. People in Vegas call her the T lady. It's my wife. She's wonderful. She was at a play day tonight with my son riding their horses, which is cool. Anyway, that's my hopium for you. I think June's going to be a really good month for us. And I think maybe we've been told in the past about it. Let's see here. We got a couple more of the super chats. It always kicks me back up here in the chat. We got El Shimanator. El Mateo. That's what we're going to go. Top of the evening. El, you're a scholar and a gentleman. Thank you. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate the super chat and the kind words. Same to you. We've got KB. They say, hey, Jake, an Aussie. Hey, from down under. Cheers for all the value you provide. If retail don't move the price now, Will retail never affect it long term? No, retail is not going to move this, man. It's not retail driven. The only time that retail really affected price was back in 2017, 2018, when we had a supply shock then because they locked half of it up in the escrow and we had FOMO on it. We had a rotation from Bitcoin and the liquidity there into XRP all at the same time. We're going to get that again, but it's going to be through the ETFs. And you're going to get a concentrated inflow into XRP through the ETFs, because what other ETFs are there outside of the Bitcoin ETFs? That's the only place they're going to be able to move it. And there's a reason that they launched futures on top of XRP first, because leveraged futures is where you're really going to make the money on the XRP when it goes to the upside. So I don't know what you got there in Australia for leveraged XRP ETFs, but here in the US, we have XXRP. So again, I am not a financial advisor. I don't provide financial advice. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please always consult with your financial advisor before making any investment decisions. But if I had a 401k, I would really be looking at XXRP would be my play. And if you need a financial advisor for your digital assets, we have them. You just go to digitalwealthpartners.net. You go to the contact us page there, and we're happy. We would love to work with you. We're the only RIA in the world, registered investment advisor group, that provides financial advice on digital assets, strictly digital assets. We literally don't do anything else. It's our bread and butter. It is what we do. We got Fly Fishing Jeremy. What's up, man? He says, the JC, a friend in Canada, will be inheriting roughly 30 million non-crypto from his dad, who is in poor health. Hate to hear that, man, but it's like dad's going to die, but you get the money. Like, at least he's going to get, hopefully he takes his legacy and they're able to, he's taught him well and he's able to carry that on. I told him to contact Aaron Grinhoss. Very good. That's great. Any other suggestions to minimize tax? Everyone join Beyond Broke Mastermind. No, Aaron's great. We did meet a few other people at XRP Vegas that were from Montreal that want to partner their tax attorneys. I already talked to Aaron this morning. He's fantastic. I've had him on the show multiple times. If you guys haven't seen the podcast with Aaron Grinhoss, I would encourage you to go back on the channel and look at those. He's a wealth of knowledge. He understands U.S. tax law and Canadian tax law like nobody else, along with digital assets and how those work in those jurisdictions. He also has people in Portugal. He's got people in the Cayman Islands. He's got people in Bermuda. And that's how he sets up and establishes trust outside of Canada for people that want to get offshore with their stuff, including digital assets. And he understands insurance. Like, I really don't have anybody better to send you to up there in Canada. He is the guy. I'm just super blessed to have met him when I did and be able to work with him over the last couple of years for our Canadian clients. But I will say this. We are going to have somebody like, and love working with us in the near future here as a DWP advisor that has some Canadian ties. So you might know who that is. You might not. I'm not going to say their name, but excited to have them on board in the near future. And he also says, like, subscribe, join the mastermind, best community in crypto. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. I don't say that enough on here. I always get caught up answering the questions. But if you guys wouldn't mind, it does help the algorithm and the channel grow and get this content out to other people. If you think it's valuable, if you don't, then don't do it. I can do better. Let me know how I can do better over here in the chat. But if you do like it, click that like button, subscribe to the channel. And if you want more content like this, you want a community of people, you want access to private deals, you want access to be able to borrow against your XRP, you want business resources, financial education, and a ton of stuff that we're going to continue to bring in real life events. We do more in real life events than any other community in crypto that I'm aware of. They're in the mastermind group. So you can just go to beyondbroke.com. It's right here. And then if you want the free month, they're in the group, Carbon One or Social. You can put in the code BeyondBroke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO gets you a free month there in the group. What did I start to say? David says he loves the Beyond Broke Mastermind. Thank you, man. It's been super cool. I don't have any words. Like, you guys are awesome. We wouldn't be able to do wouldn't be able to do any of this without the community and you guys. So just all the love to you. Super grateful and extremely blessed to be in a position to be able to provide value for other people and help people and pull people together. Like that's the other cool piece. We just the joy I get to watch people have when they like, somebody from the internet and you like go back and forth, but then when you meet them in person, you're like, and just, it's cool. So, and there's a lot of people that you feel like you're on an island, right? Like you know about this stuff and you get excited about it and try to tell other people, but they don't want to listen. So it's cool to have a crypto buddy that's not too far from you. And with 3,000 people in the community, I almost guarantee that there's somebody within a couple, like within at least 20 to 30, 40, 50 miles of you, somebody in the community is there. That's been the other cool piece is we've seen these micro communities of people pop up all over the US and all over the world because of our community drawing people in. They're able to meet other people that aren't far from them. And it's nice to just have a buddy you can go have dinner with or drinks with or like hang out with and not feel ostracized. The Nugget Hunter book. Thank you for the super chats, man. He says, when does the next fund open? I got my accreditation letter in and just want to learn more about the funds. My hand got slapped by my compliance officer last week. So I can't tell you. If you would like to know more about the funds, and it sucks because I get excited and I want to tell you everything that we got going on. But if you want to know more about the funds, you're going to need to reach out to your advisor, Digital Wealth Partners, and they will absolutely tell you everything that's about to happen, how you can get in, how you can participate. But unfortunately, it's not something that I can discuss publicly. So, and I hate being political and like the compliance and all the stuff, stupid. But unfortunately, we are already going to be under a lot of scrutiny by the SEC because of the stuff that we're doing, and not because it's anything illegal or wrong. Like we're doing everything above board and to a higher standard than pretty much any other RIA because of the space that we're operating in. But they're going to show up and ask a lot of questions, and we want to make sure that we haven't done anything to cause an issue. So for those reasons, I would encourage you to reach out to your advisor, and they would love to explain what the opportunities are there at Digital Wealth Partners. Channeling my inner compliance officer. Max is watching. Not the Max you guys know. Max Kahn is our compliance officer. CJC, what's up, man? He said, thanks for the great weekly content. What if any bills are in place to ensure crypto is here to stay if the next administration is anti-crypto? Here's the deal with this. And this is when they let the genie out of the bottle, they're not going to be able to put it back in. It's going to run rampant. It's going to be integrated with everything. They're not going to be able to yank it out. So as soon as there's regulations, you're going to see things move so fast, it's going to make your head spin. Because everything's been pent up, ready to go for a long time. And I'll tell you guys this. We worked with R3. As you can see, if you don't get a mug, you can go check out my Twitter. Great group. They've had stuff ready for 5 years with these investment banks. Ready to rock, ready to rip. And then the last administration kept it from taking place. So as soon as we get any type of regulation on this stuff, I can tell you with absolute certainty that rocket ship's taken off and it is never coming back, irrespective of if they want to put it back in the bottle with the next administration. And we got another 3 years with this one. So by the time somebody else comes in, and I don't want to get into my political thoughts because I don't think there's going to be another president. I know I sound crazy. That's okay. But anyway, they can't, is my answer. And we're pretty close to the hour and a half mark here, so I am going to lightning round the rest of these super chats. Mike was trying to tell me how to make these like only the super chats, but I don't know how to do that. So we're just going to run with it. We got Heath. He says, what's your opinion on coming liquidity market crisis? It's here, like knocking on the door, brother. As soon as you see oil go, it's about to be a meltdown. It's about to be bad. And we're about to be very wealthy in a very short period of time. If you got some XRP, not financial advice, just my personal opinion. I'm just some guy on the internet. I don't have a crystal ball. Got to put the disclaimer on there. LT, what's up, man? Thank you for the super chat. He says, Jake, please enlighten us on why you think XRP will be 2K by the end of the year if things are in line for that to happen this year. The tea is really good. My wife does a great job. That's the price that's going to be required to be in order to be able to move the amount of value for the markets and networks that I believe will need to be settled by the end of the year. So let's walk through them here. You got Swift, which is 5 trillion a day. You got the FX market, which is around 6-7 trillion a day. You got commodities, which is 6-7 trillion a day. You got the back end of the stock market, which is 6-7 trillion a day. So where are we at? We'll call it $25 trillion that needs to be settled on a daily basis. How much XRP do you think is available for that? 10 billion? 10 billion XRP? So if you want to do the math, that would be a $2,500 XRP. If it was used one time a day. And there's 10 billion available. Okay? Maybe there's more than that available. Maybe it's used more than that once per day. And in that case, maybe the price is lower than 2K. But you've also got spot ETFs. You now got businesses buying up XRP as part of their treasury. You've got exchanges that'll likely be using XRP in its DEX for liquidity after Tether goes. You've got other people that are going to utilize XRP for a treasury asset on their balance sheet that are going to want to buy it. Sovereign wealth funds are going to want to buy it. You're going to need XRP to be able to pay fees to tokenize real estate like they are in the Middle East on the XRPL. You're going to have liquidity pools by the end of the year that lock up XRP. You're going to have AMMs by the end of the year that are locking up XRP. So it's really a lot less available supply than I think people really understand that's going to be available by the end of the year because of all these other catalysts that are going to lock up the XRP. So to move all that value, you might have a couple billion XRP, 5 billion XRP available to settle $25 trillion a day in transaction volume, maybe more. Maybe there's other markets that I haven't even considered that'll be settling across the XRP by the end of the year. I think 2K is very reasonable with all of the different factors that are going to lock up XRP and limit the supply and the availability for the amount of demand that's going to exist for it. So hopefully that answers your question with some math and some actual legitimate reasoning. We get KJ. What's up? They say, do you see any or a handful of spot ETFs being approved, and are they guaranteed to push price up or just likely? Did they push Bitcoin's price up? Before and after. So I think if there is anything that's guaranteed, the ETFs, the spot ETFs, when they're launched, will absolutely push the price of XRP up. And it's not going to be one or a handful that are approved. They can't show favoritism. So they will approve all of them at one time, just like they did with the Bitcoin ETFs. And I think we're just waiting on BlackRock for them to throw their hat in the ring. We got Jeremiah. He says, mathematically, what would the price appreciation look like with non-U.S. approval? I'm not even going to answer that because the U.S. is going to approve it. We got Wayne. What's up, Wayne? He says, how can cryptos ever become something sustainable, stable, when the liquidity is 200 times less than the market cap? A few huge sell orders can crash the price. This is very true. This is a good point, Wayne. Will the liquidity of cryptos actually ever catch up to the market cap? So this is interesting. I actually would prefer, to your point, a liquidity provision or some metric around liquidity of a token. Because the market cap's going to look absurd when the amount of liquidity is in XRP that I think is going to be there. The way I look at it is this. The more value in something, the higher the price something is, the more value it takes to move the price. So if you look at indexes, like if you look at the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ or the Dow Jones, it takes billions of dollars in volume one direction to the other to move it at all, really. And I think that's going to be the same way for the XRPL and XRP, XRP in particular. Once you do have a very high volume and stable price for the asset that's 3-4 digits, the market cap's going to be absurd. The stability of that asset is going to be awesome, because you're going to have sustained volume, and you would need just massive sell orders, trillions of dollars all at once, over the exchange market, and not in a dark pool and not OTC, in order to tank the price. And you wouldn't want to do that if you have large sell orders. The slippage that you're going to have in executing an order over an exchange versus an OTC desk or a dark pool, you're going to lose out on a ton of money, right? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to execute an order that way, unless you're just uneducated or you just like wreaking havoc on stuff, which none of the founders are going to do. They have a super low basis in this asset. They're just going to borrow against it. So anyway, not really overly concerned about that, but that's because, again, the pricing dynamics and the way I think the market's going to move after utility and sustained volume across the settlement using this asset to settle, I think is going to be a very high, stable price. But that's how it gets there, is one, a supply shock to drive the price up. And then once it's used to be able to settle those transactions over the networks, it'll maintain a high, stable value. This gentleman again, El Matillo, that's not what he is, but that's what I'm going to call him. He says, I know I'm not just speaking for myself that I missed your feed last week. Thanks, man. I can't show it. Maybe I can. Hold on. Y'all want a prequel? Hold on. I'm gonna give y'all an exclusive on here. There we go. All right. Something special just for y'all. Share screen. Oh, Max is going to kill me because all my bookmarks. Wonder if I can hide this. I'll do it. It's fine. I'm not worried about it. I don't have anything weird up there. Screen. Understand. This one. All right. Can you guys... Let me know if y'all can see that. Show on screen. Here we go. This isn't edited. It's not done yet, but I'm going to give it to you guys because y'all are watching. Oh, you can't hear it. This is really good. So I had a videographer follow me all last week when we were in Vegas and everything. And this is the opener for the video that he shot. Anyway. Super cool. I just close that out. All right. So anyway, that's why you missed my feeds last week, because I was traveling. I was doing all that. Wish I'd had the audio on there for you, but yeah, just putting in work, man. Trying to make sure that we're creating as much value as we possibly can. Going to Vegas was a big deal. Going to New York was a big deal. Curating partnerships and aligning ourselves with the right people to be able to execute on stuff that we're bringing to market. Again, in-person stuff, it matters. So he says, thank you for the work that you put in the trenches. Wish more people would listen about XRP and change their family's path. Let's go, XRP. Awesome, man. Yeah, appreciate you in the kind words, man. I love doing these. I'm sad to miss them. But I try to let you guys know when that's going to happen so that you can, you're not like trying to tune in and I'm not here. But we'll do them every chance that we get. I love them, and appreciate you guys hanging out with me on Monday and Wednesday nights. We got Healthy Tech. What's up, man? Or ma'am, not sure which. They say, hey, Jake, are those whom are currently on board with DWP who have 50K XRP currently earning returns? If no, when? If they're accredited, we've had opportunities for people that had just 50,000 XRP, which some people are, some people aren't. Some people have a small allocation to digital assets and a bunch of assets other places. Other people don't. Other people have all that they've got in digital assets, and they've just got 50,000 XRP. And there's nothing wrong with either. But next 30 to 60 days, we're going to have some really, really cool ways to be able to generate risk-free returns on your XRP in your account. And again, if you want to know more about those opportunities, just reach out to your financial advisor. They're Digital Wealth Partners. Where can I find information about your firm? So you just go to digitalwealthpartners.net, and you can go to the contact us form. You can check out the website there. If you want to look up the CRD number, you just Google CRD number, FINRA, Digital Wealth Partners, and it'll pop right up. Starts with like 32 something, something, something. And you can see all the advisors that are registered with our firm. Again, we're the only actually registered IA or investment advisor group in the world that deals with exclusively digital assets. SE says, I have access to 100K people loan at 10% interest, personal loan at 10% interest. Awesome. Would you do it, invest in XRP right now? And if you were in my shoes, not financial advice. I can't tell you what to do. Can't do it. However, I can tell you I have borrowed money to buy XRP in the past. So that's up to you. I've leveraged my XRP to buy more XRP at different times and taken advantage of market swings. So I use debt as a tool. I'm not an advocate for taking leverage. I'm not advising people to take leverage. You can work with your financial advisor, and they can, provide you some guidance around that for your financial picture. I don't know what your other bills are like. I don't know what your other extraneous circumstances look like. It's hard for me to give you an exact answer. And again, I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't. But full context would be provided in order to be able to give you a real, you should do it, or probably not. I'm feeling pretty good about stablecoin regulation and the timing of that, and that's all I'll say. We got Brock. They said, can XRP get at the same price as Bitcoin? Yes. Give it 7 years. Here we go. This is Living Legacy. You can't see this over here on TikTok. I wish you could. If you were here on YouTube, you could. But he's posted the link, digitalwealthpartners.net/forward/contact-us/ is the page there for Digital Wealth Partners. If you want to go check that out. XXRP didn't help XRP. No shit. Sorry. It's a futures ETF. It's not a spot ETF. And futures ETFs also didn't help Bitcoin. You're not mandated to hold the underlying asset to back the ETF. So it's not going to cause any price appreciation or supply shock. You need spot ETFs to actually drive the price of XRP. Nash Vegas, what's up? He says, what's up, legend? God, you guys. Appreciate you. To answer your X post, first thing I'm doing when XRP hits and I become a multimillionaire is scheduled a well meeting with my boss. Well, I'm done. XRP to the moon. Look, I don't want to touch on this for a second because I know a lot of people are probably thinking they're going to do that. Just chill for a little while. You can still keep your job for a little bit. Get used to having the money. Put a plan in place. Take 6 months. Your job's not going anywhere. And you have the FU money to say at any time. You have the leverage now. Okay? I know you might not like your job. It might be just to get by. But I would encourage you to hold off on that well conversation and just walk in smug. Just walk in happy. Do your job. Don't do a shit job. Excuse my French. Do your job, but hang out for a little while and get used to having that money sat there and take your time. Because it's not, The other piece of this it's not going to go anywhere. I don't think so. I don't think we're going to have the volatility. I don't think we're going to have any of the crazy stuff we've had in the past. I think this is going to be a utility bull run where XRP decouples from everything else. And you're going to be in a position where you will have wealth and access to stuff that other people just they can't even dream or fathom. Okay. So the FU money that you're going to have on the other side of this is going to be unlike anything anybody's ever seen, because of what this asset is. Take your time. Don't feel like you got to quit your job day one. Like, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? I know a lot of people want to just spend time with their family and step away from things. I'm all about that. I'm all about that. I just make sure that you have income in place. Be a little slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Okay. Even if it's another 30 days, work a job another 30 days, put in your 2 weeks notice, but don't immediately just sever the cord. Don't let lifestyle creep happen. Like that was the thing I talked about earlier on today. Like, gonna have $1 million Monday. People start spending it in their mind. They're like, I'm gonna do this, and this, and they hadn't thought through like, how is that gonna cash flow? When I'm gonna get those cash flows? How am I gonna manage that? How am I gonna budget? Like, think through those things. Don't make rash decisions. Any emotional decisions on the other side of price appreciation, just check yourself. Okay. Just from a third party perspective, try to step back out of yourself. I do this every day, it's a weird trait to have. Most people don't do this. I try to step out of myself and look at the situation from third party and go, am I being emotional? Am I just having a bad day? Is this other person having a bad day? Analyze the situation from a third party perspective and see if you're making a rash decision. And if it's not, if you've already curated everything, you know exactly, when you're going to get paid, you've already done the budget, you know how it's going to work post moon. If you're going to take profits, you know how you're going to allocate those to be able to generate income, and you're going to have a paycheck within 30 days. Like, cool. I'm just hesitant to believe that's most people. Could be you, Nash, but start to think through those things now if you want to have that well meeting the day of. But I would encourage you to maybe hold off a little bit on that. And again, other people aren't going to tell you that, but that's my 2 cents. We got Jack Gold. He says, hey, Jake, if all goes well and we see 3 to 4 digits, do you think price of XRP will drop back down to 2 digits with cycles? No such thing as cycles on the other side of this one, Jack. League of its own. League of its own is my answer. Again, I'm trying to get through on the lightning round, so I apologize if I'm a little short here on the super chats at the end, and I really do appreciate these super chats. You guys, this is awesome. We got Rock Corp. He says, hey, Jake, wait, I thought once we purchased DWP onboarding for 1,000, we could onboard at our own pace. Was I wrong? Bought back in April. You can. The new people that are coming in on this promotion have to fund within 30 days. So anybody that's already onboarded, look, here's the other deal. I always take care of people that are proactive and early in everything that we do. We always try to add additional benefits and make sure the people that have been here, that have been loyal, that have been proactive with us and taking care of us, always take care of you. And so there's certain things that we will do later on, like we're going to raise minimums. We've raised prices. Some people got an LLC for $400 early on. Some people got consults for free early on. I did 65 consults for free when I started this deal. I moved my price to $5,000 for 30 minutes the other day. And that's not because like I was getting a lot of consults at $1,500 for 30 minutes. And I'm like, and some of these people are paying me $1,500 and they got like 30,000 XRP. I'm like, buy more XRP. You don't need a consult with me if you got 30,000 XRP. You know, I'm not going to be able to deliver you a whole lot of value. If you got 3, 4, 500,000 XRP or a million XRP, yeah, I can give you a lot of value, and it's worth the $5,000 to meet with me. I will make you a lot of money or save you a lot of money, guaranteed. But if you got 30,000 XRP, just meet with our team. Like they're cheap or free or $300. Like they're gonna tell you the same thing I am for 5,000 or 1,500. I feel bad, you know. Anyway, I digress. So we always take care of people that are early with us, people in the mastermind, people that are proactive. I always take care of people that have been with us longer. So the sooner you start working with us, the more benefits you're going to get over the long run. I guarantee you. But for this onboarding, for this offer, within the next 30 days, anybody that takes this up, and this is the last offer for 50,000 on the XRP, you would need to fund your account within 30 days. Let's see here. A couple more super chats and we'll wrap it up tonight. We got Don. He says, hey, Don here. What's up, man? I was struggling to get signed up and move forward with about a month with everyone, and the group has been busy, was dropped through the cracks, word went out, having a hard time. Tim has everything. Awesome, man. I'm really glad to hear that. So you got to me, by the way. Mike let me know about your situation. I really hope everything that you have going on works out between you and the counterparty that you're having to deal with. What you're going through is not easy. And I'm sorry that here's the real deal. So a lot of people want to work with Mikkel. People trust Mikkel. People know Mikkel. Mikkel is backed up for a month. He has literally back-to-back consults every single day for a month. So if you want to work with Mikkel, it's going to take a long time. I think at some point in the process, we had an option to select Mikkel, and that's probably what we messed up on with you, Don, was we allowed that to happen, and then we didn't follow up with you. So that is our fault. And yeah, Mike's awesome. I'm glad he was able to talk to you in the mastermind and get that sorted out. And again, really appreciate your patience and on all this. And I'm super glad, because again, it got to me and I immediately was like, Tim, call Don. Like he's got stuff going on and we need to work with him and make sure he's taken care of. So anyway, I hate that things get to me and then I'm like the backstop for it, but that's what you do as the CEO also. And you probably know that. So anyway, super glad to be working with you. And again, we'll help you work through your situation. And we're super excited to be able to provide value there. Thank you for the super chat, man. Hope you have a wonderful evening. He says also, give me another super chat. Thank you. He said, straightened out, shout out to Living Legacy. If he's still around, get my business set up. I will steal him. Mike's a baller, dude. You're not getting Mike. Mike's my man over there at the mastermind. He hustles. Here he is. He says, Bud, the community learned wealth management alongside special benefits. He is here. He's a great moderator. Shout out to Mike and all the mods there in the Discord, but especially Mike for all that he does for the group. Thank you, man. We got Home Base Income 101. I like the channel. That's cool. I joined Mastermind instead of borrow using XRP. Is it possible to receive income from banks using XRP I own? Thanks for the lock-in price when upgrade. Nope. Banks do not care about your XRP. Citibank, I validated this with another person that worked there just the other day. She happened to be at XRP Vegas. She is an executive at Citibank, and they are 12 to 18 months away from being able to provide the same services we are to people with their XRP. So we will be the first to be able to provide risk-free returns on your XRP in institutional custody with insurance and all the fun stuff that people have been wanting and been talking about banks doing for years. They don't care. It's going to be our community and our family that make this happen. And DWP is at the forefront of that, and we're going to make it happen for you guys before anybody else. So if you want in on that, love to work with you guys. And again, this offer is only through June 17th. You have to fund your account within 30 days. 50,000 XRP. Need your LLC set up. If you want to get your LLC set up, you're just going to go to digitalfamilyoffice.io. Put in the code 50OFF 50OFF DAG LLC. That's 50OFF DAG LLC. Get you everything you need for your LLC for $2,000, and then pay the onboarding fee there at Digital Wealth Partners, $1,000, and you're golden. We will get you onboarded. And again, it can be an aggregate total of the amount of XRP you have between your IRA, your LLC, your trust, whatever you got as far as entities and structures go. As long as the total amount of XRP is at least 50,000, we can work with you. We got Raven Poe. Interesting. Is this like a play on Edgar Allan Poe with the Raven? Other than the obvious about DCA and keep and advise for a small bag holder, 1 to 5K XRP, would love to buy an apartment complex to homeless veterans, and pay bills. See, that's the cool stuff, man. There's so many people like you that want to give back to other people that have been affected by certain things. But here's the piece. Like, your cup has to flow over in order to be able to help other people. People get upset that people do well, or I don't know why they do, or envious or jealous. But at the end of the day, you know, you have to do really well for yourself in order to be able to help other people and give back to the community and affect people and change lives like you want to do. And that's the cool part about the XRP community I've seen, is all of these people have aspirations to do similar stuff like this. I think a lot of this is people are called to be able to be in this position to help others, which is really cool. We got William Wales. Walls. They say, thanks for the amazing work, Jake. Appreciate you. Former Navy pilot. Very cool, man. The major airlines. I want to sell my 2020 Camry and put it on XRP, and then buy a GX550 under the Wyoming LLC when I'm starting with DWP. Crazy? No, I don't think you're crazy at all. I think that's I can't tell you what to do, man, but yeah. I've sold a vehicle and bought XRP with it. So XXRP, please explain real quick. Apologies, bro. So XXRP is a ETF that's a double leverage XRP ETF that you can purchase with traditional stocks in order to be able to take an allocation or position in XRP through your 401k or traditional stocks. And it'll do twice the upside when it goes vertical. I'm a social member in the group. Is it possible to just get the 2K LLC pack alone to start? I can't like waive the $1,000 onboarding fee at Digital Wealth Partners. It's a cost we have to our partners in order to get everything set up. We don't really make anything on it. If I could remove that friction for people, I would love to, but unfortunately it's our hard cost on it. So it is $2K for the LLC and then another $1,000 for the onboarding fee. You guys are awesome with the super chats, man. We got Low Tide. They say, I'm new to XRP. What if I wake up a millionaire? XRP shoots to triple digits. What do you recommend a person to do? Call me. Call our firm. First, you need to call your attorney. You need to call your CPA. You need to call your spouse. And if you don't have the first two, we can help you. Especially if you don't have ones that understand crypto. So, again, I sound like I'm shilling my own stuff. I eat my own dog food. These are all the people that I worked with in order to set up my stuff when I made a bunch of money. And so I know, like, and trust them. And I know that, you know, I know that they're good people because they were willing to work with me and set up my stuff up even before significant, really crazy price appreciation. And they believe in what we're doing. They've put in a lot of time over the last couple of years. They see the vision, and we've had a lot of good experiences with these people for our community. So anyway, find those people for you. If that's us, that's great. If it's other people, that's awesome too. But those are the people that you should be looking to call on the other side of price appreciation. Todd, hey man, I heard you were talking to somebody else and they called me before I got on here. Appreciate you, man. He says, hola, what's up? When BlackRock did a deal with Anchorage Custody, they already had Coinbase ETF and Trust. How quick can Anchorage be ready for an XRP ETF custody? Tomorrow. Ready to go. Maybe next week. Neil says, hey, Jake, with the Circle IPO, is it good or bad for Ripple? Will they still pursue? So I listened to Brad on stage. This is interesting. When he was at XRP Vegas. And he was like, who said we were trying to acquire Circle? I don't know anything about that. We definitely didn't offer $20 billion because they offered 5. He said 20. They offered 5 to buy Circle. I don't think it hurts Ripple at all. I think it's good for Ripple. I think the more people in the space that IPO, the more likely Ripple is to IPO, and all the people that are invested there will end up making money. I won't talk about Link 2. Anyway, any thoughts on Sologenic and Corium? I don't know. They haven't done any of the stuff that they said they were going to do. There's a lot of promise in DeFi, and there's a lot of promise in some of these networks, but they really haven't shown anything. But also XRP's been held back. So maybe once we get regulatory clarity and XRP goes up in value, maybe they'll surprise me. I don't know. Please give me some details on why you don't think we have any more presidents. It's late for this. And I do need to wrap it up. But I want you to go back and read a trilogy that was written in the 1800s, late 1800s, called The Adventures of Baron Trump. And the third book in that trilogy is called The Last President. So go back and read that trilogy, and you'll probably have a little bit better perspective on why I might have the thoughts that I do. Group 1 Gavin says, hey, Legend, what's up, man? He said, looking to join you guys. I have a self-managed super fund in Australia. Please confirm cost. Is it only the 1K onboarding or also 2K for the LLC? Just the 1K onboardings for the super fund. If you've already got that in place, that entity works, and we can onboard you. We got John. Hey, mate, I need some help here in Australia. Please give me some contacts for us down under to deal with. Reliable, that we can deal with you if we want. Helps, bro. Our government sucks. I know. Get out of Australia. Go to Dubai. Go to BVI or Singapore. Australia is so beautiful, but yeah, you're right. The government there, like, how are they going to do the capital gains deal here at the end of the month? I think that's so stupid. Unrealized capital gains are going to whack you guys for 15% there in your super fund. Like, what the fuck? Excuse me. It's asinine. I don't understand. Over 3 million, and everybody in XRP is going to get with that. So anyway, we would love to help you. We can move your stuff. Reach out to Consensus Layer. That's who's there in Australia. David and the guys over there are who we're talking to. We've had some mixed reviews from them. So my wife says wrap it up. All right, I'm wrapping it up. One more super chat, and then we're gonna close it out. He said, "Bro, not a question being asked here. Already meaningful. Do you do what to mention that you address each question in depth and time, no matter how much people pay? $22, much respect." Thank you, man. Appreciate that. I try to make sure, if you paid money, I'm going to answer it. Sean Size says, hey, Jake, man, the myth, legend. You guys are wild. For those that are sub 10K XRP, will you set up an LLC? And if so, does the code still work? Yeah, you can do it. I just buy more XRP, bro. Don't give us money yet. Like, you can set it up later. Buy more XRP. If you got another $2,000, like, go over there with it. Make more money. Austin Jensen, we'll set it up if you want it, but I would recommend, I can't give you financial advice. I would personally buy more XRP if I only had 10,000 XRP and had extra $2,000. New guy to the channel. Unfortunately, I'm not in the spot to have 50K XRP, but I want to be proactive and still prepare for moonshot advice. DCA, bro. And if you're here, you're listening to this, you're in the right spot, you're aggregating knowledge, and you're going to be in a really good spot on the other side of price appreciation. Poloni65 says, Jake, my friend, I'm positively considering joining D2P in digital asset custody and wealth management. You were talking about there are risks. What are the risks to consider? We've removed all counterparty risk. We have insurance. The only risk is really on the funds, and it's probably 1.7 out of a 1 to 10. 1 being no risk, 10 being all the risk in the world. So it's still relatively low risk. The only risk is the sub-advisors, lose money over a quarter, which has never really happened before. So, and again, if you want more information on the funds, just reach out to your advisor. They're at Digital Wealth Partners. And this is the last super chat. We're going to wrap it up tonight. Is there any avenue help for Canadians that you know of? Reach out to Aaron Grinhaus. Aaron, Aaron, at Grinhaus Law, GRINHAUS.ca, or sorry, Grinhaus Law, LAW, .ca, and he can help you establish entities there. And with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Again, this is the last time we're going to do the $50,000 offer. So if you got, or sorry, not $50,000, it's late. Sorry, more tea for Jake. 50,000 XRP. This is the last time we're going to offer this. So get your LLC, get it set up. If you want to move your assets into institutional custody, that's where you're going to go right here for Living Legacy. Put in the code 50OFF 50OFFDAGLLC. Get you 50% off, $2,000 for the LLC, everything that you would possibly need for the LLC to keep the corporate veil intact. We do everything end to end for you. And then you're going to go sign up through Digital Wealth Partners and a contact us form, $1,000 there, and you're good to go. And again, that can be a total amount of XRP across your IRA, your self-managed super fund, your trust, your LLC, however you have it orchestrated. As long as it's at least 50,000 XRP, we can work with you. So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on a Wednesday night, and we will see you guys on the next one.